Now, let's bring in our next guest, Michael Green from Fresno Cannabis Association. Michael, how's it going, sir?
Good, how are
Nice
you?
to see you. Have I seen lately that you guys have been in the news?
We have not. Cannabis has been in the news quite a bit lately. Fresno County Board of Supervisors has been busy. And on Tuesday they were taking a look at the ordinance that they had passed and seeing if they wanted to change it. And they pretty much decided not to at this point.
Okay. Now, I would think that the reasons why they were looking at it has to do with dollars. And the dollars would be a little bit of dollars that are going towards a legal matter that's going on in the Fresno court system. And another that maybe, just maybe, they might be looking at loosening things up and maybe pulling in some of those tax dollars that Washington and Colorado were pulling in. Am I correct?
No, but it would be nice if they would look at tax dollars and actually regulating cannabis. What we have right now in Fresno County and the city of Fresno are zero tolerance ordinances that what they mean is that you cannot operate a medical marijuana dispensary, for starters, lawfully, and you cannot cultivate your own marijuana then because you can't go to the dispensary. So you can neither go to a dispensary in Fresno and you cannot grow your own medicine anymore in Fresno County. So
no, hold on. Now, they know people have the recommendations from the doctors in California that to substitute the cannabis for other medicines over the pills and things like that, right? So they know people have it, but they don't want them to be able to get the medicine.
Well, they don't want the out-of-control cultivation that has happened in this county, and in their defense, there has been a very serious problem with people really kind of exploding the size of their gardens beyond all sense and reason. And when we talk about growing cannabis responsibly, it comes back to what do you require, not to what you and your neighbors and everyone else require. So there's a difference between...
How much can one person go through in a year?
It's a good question. They trot out the charts. A lot of people have 99 plant recs. That's probably well over.
Yeah, I would think that would be a lot, right?
It depends. If you're just smoking it, that is quite a lot, and the numbers don't necessarily pencil out. But there are a lot of people who use it in other ways. For example, tinctures, topicals. People use it as skin creams now. So some of the industrial processes used to make those types of medicines do involve more plants. But again, we're talking about personal cultivation versus more commercial processing. Okay. One thing they did do on Tuesday was reassert some of the fines that they went over in October. And I tallied it up this morning just to share. On Tuesday, they affirmed fines of $963,900. So nearly...
That they're fining people already that have been...
People who have
cited?
People who got cited, who had their plants ripped out of the ground, and then they imposed these fines. So a total of 15 people, nearly $1 million in fines were affirmed on Tuesday. And that's just one set of fines out of 300-plus gardens that were knocked down. And about
so it is about money. It's always about money.
Well, this is the theory. As you know, marijuana was illegal previous under state law, and then we passed a medical marijuana law. So it used to be totally illegal to grow it, period, and they would throw you in jail. Now it's becoming much tougher to do that because they did change the state law. They don't like the state law here in Fresno County, but they did change it. So now the theory is let's fine them. Let's fine them to death.
I'm going to say 96? Proposition 215?
Nearly 20 years.
The California voters vote to make it legal, or what did exactly Proposition 215 say?
It created a narrow exception to the criminal statutes that existed at the time. So it did make it easier in theory, it made it easier for patients to avoid arrest for using marijuana, and in theory, it made it easier for people who provided marijuana to sick people to avoid going to jail. And they had some limited success with that, but it was a limited law. 10 years later, they passed Senate Bill 420 to kind of expand some of those protections for patients. But it's been 10 years since then, and we're still fighting this struggle. Unfortunately, as it is right now, Fresno County is a dry county, if you will. You can't lawfully access your medicine here, and that's the position that they're taking. So we're trying to stand up for patients, educate them to, grow responsibly, be responsible people if they are going to use it, but also to kind of remind the county that you can't just repeal Prop 215 and call it good and then fine people, millions of dollars.
What is the law for the card holders? Where can they smoke the marijuana? Can they smoke it anywhere a person can smoke a cigarette? Is that the law? Or because I'm okay with it, I really am, but I don't think it needs to be done in front of children and stuff like that. So what is the law, or is there just an unspoken law between the people?
Well, my unspoken law would be you should be courteous, and you probably shouldn't be smoking it or using it in other forms if smoking cigarettes is not allowed there, for example. So you probably shouldn't have been doing it in public places, with some exceptions, concerts, what have you, where you aren't going to stop that.
Right.
Right?
There should be some exceptions.
But the way the county ordinance is written right now, the only place that is lawful to consume medical cannabis is within your own house. You cannot even go out in the backyard and smoke it lawfully under the county ordinance.
Now, I watched a documentary not long ago, and a very wise man was quoted on there. And it's a famous man, too. I won't use his name right now. But he said that in 20 years, when someone says, hey, I just smoked some marijuana, people are going to say, oh, you still smoke it? Because of all the different ways that it's going to be used. And I see that you brought some pills with you today.
I did, kind of show and tell, or a pot quiz, if you will. I don't know how tight you can come in on these, but I did want to point out that even though while we're struggling in Fresno County to even acknowledge that Prop 215 happened, in other parts of the state we are really learning so much more about medical cannabis and that you don't have to smoke it. One of these pills, if you can see, is an FDA-approved medicine.
Can I see it?
Can you get down there?
Can you get on it, Billy?
Yeah,
He's trying. Okay, so one of these pills, if you can, that's a little pill right there, and that's a little pill right there. One of those pills is an actual FDA-approved medication of synthetic THC, one of the active components of marijuana. The other one,
can I see it?
Yeah, the other one is not FDA-approved, and yet it is
Not synthetic? Is that what?
It's a natural extract, but it's the same idea.
So, okay. So this one, synthetic, made by the government.
Not made by the government, but licensed by the government.
Kind of made by the government too, right?
Sure.
Okay. And then so this one is made for what? Why would this be distributed to a person? And will it go through my fingers if I hold it too long?
I don't know. Well, medical marijuana is useful for many things. That one is labeled specifically for appetite stimulation, in cancer patients specifically or undergoing chemotherapy and other types of wasting diseases. Loss of appetite is a very serious problem. So dronabinol, which is the generic name of Marinol, is the only FDA-approved medication at this point. There's another medication.
So you take the pill and it gives you the munchies? Or it just settles down your stomach so that you can't eat?
It will stimulate your appetite. So for those people who are used to smoking marijuana other ways, yeah, that would be the clinical equivalent of giving you the munchies.
Okay.
And for people who have lost weight dramatically, that's a very important thing. You need to be able to get food on them and keep those calories coming in.
Okay.
There are other uses too. People with spasticity disorders like epilepsy, Parkinson's, what have you, have reported improvement using cannabinoids, including THC.
The salves, I read something about some skin cancers and stuff that they're using it for.
Yeah, cannabis is not, it's good for symptom relief, especially for things like, chemo and what have you. But one of the most exciting things is that we do have evidence that it actually has cancer-fighting capability on its own. And that can be intracellular, like when you take it orally and it helps fight some of the cancers in your body. And it can also be topical. So if you are having skin cancers or other types of skin conditions, the anti-inflammatory properties tend to help fight that. So there's a whole wealth of knowledge, and if there's one thing that angers me the most about this, is if it was any other plant on the earth, and we knew it had cancer-fighting properties, we'd be falling over ourselves to rush that into clinical trials and bring out more types of pharmaceuticals. But because it's marijuana, we are still so bound up with fear and prejudice that we are literally ignoring a potentially cancer-fighting drug.
There you go, right there, Michael Green. If people want to get involved with the Fresno Cannabis Association, it's not just a smokeout. This is a real association.
It's become an association because of the unfortunately the ordinances are creating a need for some legal action. So there is some legal action going against the county and the city. So we've kind of taken some interest in that. I understand that legalization is coming up as a big issue in 2016. There's a California chapter of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. They've expressed interest in coming to Fresno, and I think they're going to be here next month to maybe bring some people together and consider founding a chapter. If people want to just chime in, we'd love to hear from you, but we'd love the supervisors to hear from you even more. So if you think that finding people into compliance is the way to go, let them know that. I'm sure they would appreciate to hear that. But if you also think that a zero-tolerance policy is kind of out of whack with what California law says and what California voters intended, let them know that too. This is a political situation as well as a legal situation, so we're trying to build support for positive change in Fresno County.
All right. Michael Green, thanks for coming by. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and remember, people don't smoke weed and go and beat up their wives. We'll be right back. All right.